Welcome to the Across the Bar podcast, where we talk about why today's headlines are important for your success at work. My name is Peter Rahbar. Hopefully I'm your first call on legal issues.
And I'm Laura Brounstein, your first call on comms and content. And I am currently, much like someone who is canceled in Taylor Swift's song, currently cloaked in Gucci because... and this is a preview of my zero. It turns out when people say don't leave cords going across the dining room, there's a reason for that. I tripped over one in my apartment, went flying, and now have a fractured shoulder. So don't try this at home, kids. But
yeah, very sorry to hear it.
Isn't this much chicer than what I got at the ER? This homemade sling?
I can attest to that, having seen a picture of you from the ER and now seeing this more dressed up version of your sling, that you made a vast improvement, and we hope for a very speedy recovery for you. It's not good seeing you in an injured state.
Oh, Peter, I think my baseball career is over.
Yeah, might be. It might be. So let's see, if we can get you through this episode today.
All right. I may be low energy. You're going to have to bring the charm. Everybody, let Peter know how he does bringing the charm after this, please. It's a big tech.
Those charming lawyers.
That leads us to one of our topics, and I'll run them down. One of my favorite stories that you have sent me in recent times is that one of the big law firms, Kirkland Ellis, is training its employees to not be assholes, basically. Along more lines of some of what you have said, Peter, about the employees rising up. 4 union members from Condé Nast got themselves in a little bit of trouble last week. So last week or the week before?
Yep,
and then we're going to touch on that Ross Stewart article that everyone's talking about, even though I've been trying to not give it airtime, but mention his interview with Helena Alexander about whether or not women ruin the workplace. And then I would like to start, though, with the most egregious thing I've seen this week. Megyn Kelly going on TV with a straight face saying it's not really pedophilia if they're 15. What now? I guess I agree that it's like not as I don't know.
Wait a second. I'm not gonna let you agree to any part.
I'm not agreeing. I see that there is a difference between like a 4-year-old person and it's 15, but they are both acts of violence. And
no, it's
terrible.
It's outrageous.
Rape.
It's outrageous. I mean, there's not much to say about it except it's outrageous. She's outrageous. She's
especially
constantly
because
saying.
These girls have all said they were victims. It is not a case where they were like, no, it was great. Even that still wouldn't be okay. But these girls have, these women have very clearly said that this was not really consensual.
Maybe Megyn Kelly's worried that she's going to appear in an Epstein email. She's just trying to get ahead of it.
Can we also talk about my boy Bill coming through on this? The emails clearly say Bill Clinton was never on the island and anywhere near any of the bad stuff. So I just, after years of people speculating, nope.
Look, there's some interesting stories that came out.
Oh my God! And Ken Starr? What a fucking,
Just get it all out, Laura. Get it all out.
I'm so. I'm a little crabby from this, and
it's the meds speaking.
I'm not on any meds. I'm on an Advil.
Okay. Brave.
What he put the wonderful, beloved Monica Lewinsky through, Ken Starr, and the fact that he was being a dirty little bird with teenagers. My God.
No, it's brutal. The whole thing is brutal. I mean, there's some interesting, the GC of Goldman Sachs was one of his advisors. I mean, can you imagine that email coming out and dealing with that? She was hired a few years ago, so I would assume this came up in the diligence process of hiring her. I would have liked to be in that conversation to hear how that was explained. But
as an attorney, do you feel that special investigators for the president, like Ken Starr, should not be? It's better when they're not, messing around with teenagers.
100%. 100%. Is that the standard we're using? 100%. it's the whole thing is terrible. Everyone associated with it deserves whatever they get. But yeah, it would be nice to see these files and
So
sort of
8
get some
years
definitive
after
answers
the
and
Access
just
Hollywood.
move past it.
And we all said, I remember that afternoon and being like, this is what's going to do Donald Trump in. Is there a chance that 9 years later, this is it?
Maybe. I mean, some people got pulled into the Situation Room to talk about their votes on this issue. We'll see.
You know what? Let's take a minute for Thomas Massie, Representative Boebert, Representative Mace, and Representative Taylor Greene, because they are the only Republicans that voted to have the Epstein files released. And as much as I don't think I agree with them on anything else, go you.
Yeah. Well, it should make for some great Thanksgiving discussion at the dinner table.
Oh, we don't talk about Thanksgiving at mine. We don't talk about politics Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Some great Christmas discussion.
Yeah,
it's great.
no. Word to the wise, people, just don't go down a politics rabbit hole with your family at Thanksgiving.
Is Epstein talk banned at your Thanksgiving celebration?
Just political talk. Just political talk would be bad.
All political talk.
I certainly have, a family member who would say, but what the Democrats, but her emails.
Right.
But her emails.
Right.
Anyway, okay, so we're aligned on that. Let's talk about this case that is cracking me up about Kirkland and Ellis. Can you tell people about this, and did it surprise you?
Well, Kirkland and Ellis is one of the world's largest law firms. In fact, maybe the largest and most profitable. And there was a report this week that their lawyers have been sent to training to be nicer to their adversaries in general. Now, I will tell you, and specifically because they do a lot of work in the private equity world, and there was rumors or reports that got back to Kirkland and Ellis that, private equity firms were hearing from their investors that Kirkland wasn't being so nice to them, refusing to negotiate, certain terms, etc. And if your investors are unhappy, that's not a good thing for private equity firms. In fact, I talked to one private equity executive who said, basically, you can't have this happen, and it's a real issue. Look, Kirkland and Ellis has a reputation in the industry of being tough to deal with. I've dealt with them, and I can tell you that it's true. I can also tell you that two of the nicest lawyers I know work at Kirkland and Ellis. So,
do you think it's just a culture of that internally, and so then it shows externally?
I don't know how it happens, frankly, but it's a well-known thing. It's a well-known association with them that they are generally the toughest people to deal with, and there are surveys done every year by legal magazines on who the most feared firms are, and they're always at the top. Now,
do you think that was a strategy for a while, that they were like, look at us, we're at the biggest assholes?
It's hard not to think that, frankly.
Okay.
And I would say generally, lawyers are not that nice to each other. I mean, I can tell you that, especially today after a morning of reading, nasty emails from opposing counsel. I can tell you it's like a real thing in the profession. It's something that...
Does that wear on you? That would wear on me.
Oh, I hate it. I mean, I'm nice to everybody, of course.
Of course.
But lawyers think, I don't know. Are they overworked? Are they social mutants? Are they, it could be a number of things. Is it a firm-wide strategy to just be very aggressive? I mean, I think it's tough to say that, thousands of lawyers, which Kirkland and Ellis has, that was some instruction that went out to them. I think it's just sort of a, if you're mentored by certain people and they have a certain way and you think that's the way to do it, then you do it. And there's a lot of sharp elbows in the private equity world, and but if you're engaging in conduct that's potentially losing clients for you and losing investors for your clients, like that's a big problem. You have to deal with it. You can't ignore it. It's more than just gossip. So,
is the trend line, do you think we'll see? Like, do you think, because most of the other trends right now are not around more niceness. Is this?
Yeah, niceness seems to be out the window. I can tell you that. Generally, I was talking about it with a client yesterday. I mean, it's just, it's totally out the window in what I've seen recently.
Well, do you think it's because people are so nervous, stressed, overwhelmed? I told you, my psychiatrist said, when I had a check-in, She was like, I am hearing that the state of the world is more, people are finding it more emotionally debilitating than ever before.
That's a sad statement.
Yeah.
I mean, look, there are a lot of pressures. People are under pressure. And also in society generally, we're seeing, an administration fueled by anger and rage, and finger pointing, and that trickles down into the culture. That stuff,
You're right.
That behavior has made a lot of people popular. I mean, you talked about Megyn Kelly at the outset. I mean, part of her shtick is just like screaming at people or about people. That's not what we do here. But
No.
that behavior's been normalized, and it is present in the workplace, and it's always been present amongst lawyers. I mean, the best lawyers are the ones who never raise their voices, frankly, and who don't, communicate with each other that way. I would hope the profession would take this topic a little more seriously, but
It's crazy.
I'm in the minority on that one.
I think you and I will strongly recommend to anybody as they're coming up with a career, do not mistake kindness for weakness. Kindness is a superpower. It's a soft power. A lot of how you get ahead in the world is via soft power, and I don't know, you catch more flies with honey than with vinegar.
Well, also from a legal perspective, when someone yells at me about something, it's usually a sign of weakness on their side, like they don't have the facts to back up the argument they're trying to make, and instead they're just trying to bully you into something. And, that's fine. I usually tell them that at some point. It just pisses them off even more, but
Nice.
so be it.
I also want to bring up something that you and I saw many, many times in magazine land. People will let you be an asshole when you're the new shiny genius. When you're the enfant terrible who suddenly everybody is talking about, the rainmaker, the little girl or boy genius. But as soon as you are not at the top of your game, if you've been an asshole, you're going to get knocked over. Whereas if you were nice to people along the way, you might have people kind of, reaching out a hand. We saw it, Peter, you and I saw that over and over with like leaders in magazine land.
Yeah, you see it in a lot of different places. I mean, we just saw it very prominently with Andrew Cuomo. I mean, Andrew Cuomo, when he was governor of New York, made a lot of enemies. And and it's not just the sexual harassment stuff. There was a lot of behavior before that where he was a bully. It was a known thing. And so when he ran for mayor, there weren't people excited about that. There weren't people looking to defend him and get him elected. There was a lot of reluctant support, I would say. And most of it was driven by like what a jerk he was to everybody over the years, frankly. And that translates to the corporate setting as well. I mean, if you're going to be tough and yell at people and be aggressive, you better have some justification for that. Usually there isn't. You better be prepared to defend that behavior because eventually someone's going to call you on it. People don't like that generally. And if you're a leader, you should be on the lookout for that type of behavior and you should deal with it sooner rather than later. I mean, too many leaders are willing to turn a blind eye, as you said, to that type of behavior because someone's producing good results. And the reality is you don't need to trample over people to be successful. But in some industries it's pretty rampant, and that type of behavior, law is one of them, unfortunately. And that's why a lot of people hate lawyers.
Yeah. I don't, obviously. I love them.
No.
So one of the industries that has gotten nicer in some ways, I would say for the most part, the magazine industry has gotten a little nicer. Like when I started in the industry, it was much more acceptable to yell at people, to tell them to go home and change, and do all sorts of nasty things. And yet, some kids at Condé Nast got themselves in trouble protesting the end of Teen Vogue, which, as I have said, was brilliantly run by its editor-in-chief, Ursha Sharma, but was just never going to make money. So what were these children doing? Tell us about that.
They weren't all children, unfortunately. I mean, some were, very established professionals.
We will watch her career rise. That's not a hit on anyone that worked there. They're amazing, but... Yeah.
Well, what you're talking about happened literally, I think within an hour of our recording last week.
Yeah.
A number of employees at Condé Nast here in New York protesting the Teen Vogue shutdown and also a bunch of other layoffs of well-regarded colleagues. Like literally went up to the HR head's office, Stan Duncan.
Were they there as official representatives of the union?
Well, they were there as a group to talk about the dismissal of their colleagues, the layoff of their colleagues.
But was it an official union action? Were they like, we are here on behalf of the Condé Nast editorial union, or were they just like, we are 4 angry people?
I think they did say that at some point, but it wasn't like an official union meeting. They were obviously all parts of...
Any interaction between union representatives and management is very carefully delineated, isn't it?
Usually, yes. And the law protects groups of employees, whether they're in a union or not, if they want to engage in collective action to discuss issues related to their employment with management. Here, they were in a union, and they were frustrated that this layoff occurred without negotiating with them. They wanted to understand some rationale for the choices, et cetera, and they confronted the head of HR about it in his office.
Outside his office?
Well, it started inside his office, went outside his office.
Kind of got him outside.
He tried to diffuse the situation and get them to go back to their desks. They refused to go. Someone recorded the whole thing. And as a result of the incident, 4 employees were fired. And later that day, that's when it happened.
Wait.
And now there's been, unfair labor practice charges filed. There was a huge rally outside the Condé office last night where the Attorney General, Letitia James, spoke, among others. And look, I understand they're frustrated and they're upset that their colleagues were let go. They're upset that Condé just keeps doing layoffs. But
what? Are they living in a universe where media companies are thriving?
It's a declining business, as we said. The magazine business.
I'm not hard-hearted. Layoffs are terrible. But it is a declining business, an industry.
Yeah, it sure is. And if you have problems with the layoff...
It's James, and it hurts my heart what is being done to her right now. Mm-hmm. But I hope that this doesn't continue. Yeah,
there's a way to talk about layoffs with your managers. Storming their office is not the way to do it. And frankly, the fact that these 4 employees were fired, is no surprise to me. I don't think it's appropriate to do what they did. And, I'm not surprised that Condé chose to fire them. Now, they'll face legal challenges over that. I don't know why Tish James would be involved in any of that. There are labor laws, that would govern the situation. But there's a lot of frustration. I mean, a lot of media workers joined these unions several years ago, with the promise from the union that their jobs would be protected, their wages would grow, et cetera. And there's a lot of frustration that the unions haven't been able to deliver on those promises, frankly.
I would just caution people, especially younger people, it is very easy to get caught up in the magic of a movement moment when you feel like you are part of something bigger than yourself and standing up for what's right. But take a step back and breathe, honestly, before you kind of jump in on something that will probably get you fired. If you decide it's worth it to you, rock on with your bad protesting self, but just take a beat.
Yeah.
Call a friend outside of the situation and get their opinion. Really, let's stop and text someone.
Call one of us.
Not work there. Call one of us.
We'll tell you not to do it.
I just text. We probably want to.
Right. But I think it's also a good example of what we were talking about last week, and we were talking about it in connection with the Mamdani election, which is younger workers are not going to just accept decisions. They're going to stand up for themselves. And this was an example of it. Now, did they do it the right way? In my opinion, no. But they were not going to take a layoff sitting down, and companies have to be prepared for these type of actions. I mean, that video spread pretty widely. A lot of people were talking about it, especially here in New York. So employees see that and they get ideas, and you have to be prepared for, pushback if you're communicating unpopular decisions.
Yeah.
We gave that warning last week. We'll give it again this week.
Give it every time.
In case you didn't hear it.
Okay, we can't talk too long about this because it makes me too crazy. The Ross. Do it.
And you can't be agitated in your injured state.
He was obviously Peter. So Ross Dowett of the New York Times, whose podcast is phenomenal in my opinion, Interesting Times, interviewed this troubled woman named Helen Alexander about her thesis that women ruin the workplace. And
well, there was two women. There was another one.
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't listen to the other one, I guess. And he did a very provocative, purposely provocative headline, did ruin women the workplace. And everyone lost their mind. Listen, this is not a time to be making light of stupid people thinking that, given the amount of freedoms and liberties people are trying to take away from women right now. But also, sometimes people write a provocative headline. Take a deep breath.
Well, it changed 3 times.
Yeah.
Now did liberal feminism ruin the workplace? I listened to the podcast, which in the end just became a fight between the two commentators.
Oh, really? I guess only listened to the first part.
Which was pretty wild.
What were they disagreeing on? The two women, you're saying? Not Ross. Ross was pushing back at them, it seemed, for the most part.
I think it was like he was actually fairly reasonable. Helen Andrews clearly. What struck me about her was...
Helen, who hurt you?
I mean, what struck me about her, and I also read her piece, was that in commentary, the original piece? I went back and read that again. I mean, first of all, she has this real concern that, the industry of law and the legal system is going to collapse because the percentage of law school graduates that are women is higher than men. And I can tell you, having worked on a lot of law firm cases, good luck thinking that's... I mean, law firms are not, heaven for female employees. It's like quite the opposite. Very male-dominated, very unsupportive for raising families, like just generally bad places for women to work. So
not really the kind of
the fact that that's like the centerpiece of her...
Bad periods.
Yeah, the fact that that's the centerpiece of her argument is like ridiculous, that women are going to ruin law firms and ruin the judicial system, etc. And the case precedent that she's concerned about getting overturned, like it would take decades to do that. But anyway, what really struck me is like the two commentators, like they haven't had real jobs other than, I mean, writing is a real job.
I mean, the two interviewees.
Yeah. Like go into some workplaces other than academic workplaces and media workplaces. Like go see what's really going on out there, and then tell me how woke the workplaces are. I mean, the fact that this track that companies are woke or overly feminine, I mean, it's just the evidence against that is just overwhelming.
And
in my practical
we can
experience.
prove that with recent decision made by Nike, which really takes the cake.
Well, this one struck me because I was recently dealing... So Nike had a wellness week, I think in August, where all employees were encouraged to take time off and not work, and the company was basically shut down. And it was eliminated by the new CEO today because he thinks the company needs to be more focused on profit and whatever. We could debate back and forth on whether a wellness week is needed or not. I think it's pretty tough to give a benefit like that and then take it away.
If anyone's going to do it, I see why a health company like Nike should be the one. But
especially at a company like Nike. Yeah. I mean, it's a fitness company, wellness company. Like, you should be encouraging these things. And by the way, as a sneaker person, a sneakerhead who loves Nike, like, your problems aren't related to or because of a 1 week.
No, the last time people were interested in you was when you did that, God, I'm blanking on his name.
Well, Nike, their previous CEO.
What was his name? What's wrong with my brain?
What are you talking about?
Who's the athlete, the take the knee athlete that Nike did the ad with?
Oh, Colin Kaepernick.
Colin Kaepernick. That was the last time people were like, Nike was making buzz, I think.
Yeah, well, they had a CEO who I
guess the Skims still did well.
Skims. Yeah. Well, the new CEO has been great and well received in the sneaker community, but the prior CEO was horrible and ran the company, opened up competition and sort of and made them vulnerable to competition. Had nothing to do with Wellness Week. and it was funny to me because I was just dealing with a lawyer who works at a company that has a Wellness Week, and I couldn't get in touch with her for a week because she was on Wellness Week. So it's a real thing. Companies do it, and I think employees value it, and it's good to recharge and literally have a week away from responding to emails, and I think it could be a really good thing. But again, they're being blasted today for taking it away because
well, they're being blasted in both directions, honestly.
Yeah, it's tough.
All right, I'm flagging. Let's do heroes and zeros.
Okay. So you did your zero.
My
already.
zero I've already done. Yeah.
So I'm going to do a zero. Going back to law firms, I've heard from a colleague this week who's in a women's professional group that several law firms are refusing to host events put on by women's professional groups because they feel like it could trigger scrutiny from the administration for being too DEI, too much in the DEI column. And I think that's pretty shameful, frankly. I was really disappointed to hear it. I almost couldn't believe it. I asked some colleagues about it. They confirmed that this is going on. And it's really quite unbelievable. I mean, I don't see why you can't say, yeah, we hosted a women's event and we also host a men's event. And we
people are so scared of seeming like they are ERG or DEI compliant in any way anymore.
Right.
It's terrible.
It's pathetic.
Yeah. My heroes are the clear winners of the week, the Kardashians, as always. Kris Kardashian had more power celebrating her birthday that you can say it was because Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez hosted it at their house, but like I have never seen so much power in one room. Like Trump's inauguration had nothing on Kris Kardashian's 70th birthday. And when Kim Kardashian's new show got totally panned by the critics, she was like, I'm going to turn this on its head. The show's doing great. People were just like, don't listen to the critics. The Kardashians always win, everyone. Never forget.
Pretty successful group. My hero is a new show, Pluribus on Apple TV.
What's that about? I saw the ads for it.
I can't tell you. I cannot tell you what it's about because if I tell you what it's about, it will ruin the first 2 episodes of the show for you. All I can say is it's great.
All right. Well, my person is going away for the weekend, and my cat and I will have a lot of time with my sling on the couch, and we'll watch it.
Yeah, it's created by Vince Gilligan, who's the creator of Breaking Bad, co-creator Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. And
neither of those shows clicked for me because I need pretty people kissing in my TV at some point. It can be about anything else, but I need there to be someone pretty who's kissing who I can be rooting for.
Okay. Well, I could tell you something that I think may be appealing to you.
Okay.
And I'm glad you said that because I was going to say this to you and I forgot. The lead character is a romance novel author. So
you love that. All right. I'm in.
And the first scene is at like one of her fan events. So you'll enjoy it.
Watching. Amazing.
Hooked. You're
hooked.
Great.
Peter, it's great.
All right, you made it.
With you again. And now I'm going back to sleep.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to my answering emails from asshole lawyers.
Tell them I said not to be mean.
Yeah. So thank you for listening to Across the Bar or watching Across the Bar. Thank you, Sadie, for producing. And we'll see everybody next week. Take care, Laura.
You too.